back to the HMSGTV election report. The 2015 general election is now only a few days away. To help voters decide which candidate to choose, Hetty, our deputy head girl, organised a Hustings here at HMSG. A Hustings is a meeting where voters can ask election candidates questions about their views. 6 candidates attended. First, they gave short speeches outlining their party's policies. David Davis, our current Conservative MP, is seeking re-election. He told us that it is essential to maintain the Conservatives' strict austerity policy to reduce Britain's £90 billion deficit.
And so the central policy of the Conservative Party in this election is to stop borrowing money. We want to reduce that 90 billion a year we're borrowing down to zero over the next 5 years, and we believe that it can be done.
Ruth Jones, Labour, argued that financial cuts were not the whole answer to the problem.
We want to balance the books, but we will not balance the books at the expense of people. We want higher living standards for everybody, not just a few.
Veronica German from the Liberal Democrats maintained there was a middle way. She is anchored to the centre ground.
We only want to go as far as balancing the budget. And we don't want to do that on the back of the poor, on the back of cutting welfare payments, which is, at the moment, where the Conservatives seem to be coming from.
Christopher Weir, for the Green Party, didn't speak about his policies. Instead, he told us how important it is for young people to vote.
The 18 to 24 demographic is traditionally the lowest voter turnout, and that's a real problem.
Janet Davis, standing in for the Plaid Party candidate, said we all need to earn more in order to stimulate the economy.
Because if you get into debt, you not only have to cut your expenditure, you have to get out and earn more.
Gareth Dunn told us that UKIP is a young party. He stressed the national debt problem and also questioned Britain's sovereignty.
15 years ago we were a free, independent, self-governing, sovereign nation making 100% of our laws, and suddenly, by this time, we are no longer that.
After the speeches, HMSG girls and Monmouth school boys asked the candidates questions. Alex Behenko asked a cultural question. Should we protect the Welsh language?
When you read the Welsh poetry, if you understand Welsh, if you've been learning it for a while, you begin to pick up all these different meanings, and I think it's as valuable as a particular species of animal.
I think the answer is yes, but we have to be careful how we do that.
Yeah, it should be protected. It's part of our identity and it's part of who we are.
Everyone should have the opportunity to learn Welsh. It should be there, it should be available. It wasn't for many, many years.
I've got a few qualms about everything being compulsorily double printed in Welsh and English, because I think that adds significantly to the cost of the Welsh Assembly.
I think the question was, do we need to protect the Welsh language? And in theory we shouldn't, because we have a Welsh Language Act, so therefore we are protected in law. I think in reality we do need to protect it, because although you can have the theory, the practical application is the most important thing.
Laura Peacock, worrying about a local issue, asked candidates whether they supported the Dixon development.
It does seek to put our community at risk, and it's something that I don't want any part of.
I guess I should say I'm going to oppose it because I signed a petition and helped deliver the leaflets to oppose it, so a bit of a hypocrite if I was to change my mind.
In any case, an MP would have no control over planning issues whatsoever, but could lobby about them.
I have been lobbied very strongly about this, and certainly people in that area are very unhappy about it, and I can understand why.
I think we have to be careful that we don't say just because it's McDonald's we should never say, we will never have a McDonald's in Monmouthshire, because that's sort of a little bit deciding how people ought to live their lives.
I will. I've already put in my letter of objection, but I've objected purely on the basis that it will give rise to dangerous traffic considerations.
Imogen Jones wanted to know how politicians could encourage young people to vote.
We've just got to go out and talk more, do more of this, not just us sitting here, but us sitting down with you in the round, listening to what your views are.
The second you engage is the second that you demand that we listen to you.
What happened in Scotland was that there was a big issue that young people felt and other people felt was relevant to what they wanted in their lives.
MPs from all political parties generally work very well together in this country, and it's in marked contrast to what I've seen elsewhere in the world.
The media love to pick a fight. They love to portray something, the photograph, eating something or with a pint in the hand. They like to stir it up.
Nigel Farage is the leader of our party. He divides opinions. Some people in this room probably think he's next one down to Satan, and some people in this room think he's a decent bloke.
Lauren Walker asked candidates how they would improve the NHS in Wales.
We want to make sure that the NHS in Wales works well, works hard, works effectively for the people of Wales.
It certainly needs more money.
Is that proportionately Wales gets exactly the same amount of money for NHS funding as England. If England gets more, Wales gets given more. Whether they spend it on the NHS or decide as they have to cut it by 8%, that's a matter for the Welsh Assembly.
What I think it needs to happen is it needs to be taken away from politicians. I mean, I know it's difficult because it's large amounts of taxpayers' money, but something needs to happen.
What Plaid Cymru is saying is that it was try and kill two birds with one stone, tax sugary drinks and use the money to employ more doctors.
The big issue with the NHS, which I think overarches everything else, is mental health care. I think the mental health care is deeply lacking.
Harry Bell Thomas asked how the candidates would balance the books for Britain.
I'm going to have to break it to you guys, you're not going to see a Green Chancellor of the Exchequer after this election. It's highly unlikely, probably impossible to happen. And therefore, a lot of the balancing of the books is going to be left to either Labour or the Conservatives.
We've already shown we can do it. We want to be able to carry on doing it, and it will mean some hard decisions, but it can be done.
We need to invest in business, in infrastructure, and really get productivity up.
But also we want to look at tax avoidance and tax evasion, because that's losing us billions and billions of pounds every year at the moment.
We're going to scrap the HS2 rail link, which will cost about £4 billion per year, just to provide commuters from Birmingham to London to shave 20 minutes.
Finally, I asked a question that surely affects us all. How would the candidates help our country combat global warming?
Obviously, investing in renewables, public transport, and a more environmentally friendly based economy.
To have consistent policy and consistent regulation to encourage companies, the economy, housing, to actually go ahead and put their money into changing to a cleaner, greener way of living.
I'm afraid UKIP are the pantomime villains on this one, because the party agrees with fracking and ending wind farm subsidies.
I do not think that in this country we should pursue policies which unilaterally push up the cost of energy for businesses and for homeowners, pushing more people into fuel poverty.
You've got to work globally on this, and we've got to be there at the table pushing for action from countries all over the world. We live in one planet and we've got to protect it.
We want to go to Paris in December and make sure we come back with an achievable, realistic, but a target that we can actually implement, because the longer we talk, the more we put it off, the more it will cost us in the long run.
Well, those are the candidates for Monmouth. On May the 7th, those of us who have the vote will be able to choose our MP for the next 5 years. So, if you're 18 or over, I encourage you to use your vote. It could make all the difference. I'm Julia for HMSGTV.